Hi, I'm Bill Hodges. My wife Phyllis and I volunteer every year to put together a video of a series of interviews with candidates for the Sun City Center Community Association Board of Directors. If you stay with us, you're going to hear 8 different people talking about who they are, where they came from, their plans for the community, and all kinds of good ideas. So we ask you to stay with us, and if there's someone else in the house, ask them to come and listen with you. Last year we had close to 1,200 downloads where people actually watched the program, which is 3 times more than came to candidates night. So it's very important that you listen and that you vote. Thank you for being with us. Here's the first candidate.
Hi, I'm Bill Hodges, and I have with me a candidate for the Sun City Center Board of Directors, Rose Myers. Rose,
Hi,
what a pleasure
Bill.
to have you on the program.
Nice to meet you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you come from before coming here?
Well, I grew up in Connecticut and lived in Connecticut for my high school years. Then I went to college in New York City. And after that, I had a job which took me around the country. So my first job was in Louisville, Kentucky, with a cigarette company. And then Philip Morris, to the same cigarette company, transferred me to Richmond, Virginia. And after that time, because I'm a chemist, I was recruited by Corning Glass Works, and I was there during the Pyrex time. And after spending many years with Corning Glass, I met my husband, we were married, and then we got transferred together.
Oh,
We got transferred together to California and worked at Genentech. So from Genentech in California, my husband got a job in Connecticut, so we returned to Connecticut and I started a family.
what brought you here?
Oh,
Now,
I'm retired now, and my children live in California, and I have lived in many places. I've lived in Phoenix, Arizona, and in Honolulu, and a similar
pretty cool places.
yes, and a similar development as this one. So I decided that okay, it's time to move again. I just enjoy the country, and I love moving around. So I got here from Phoenix, Arizona, in a 55 community, and then from Honolulu in a 55 plus community.
Where in Sun City Center do you currently live? Not the street address, but the area.
I live right near Walgreens, so when you see the flashing light, that's my neighborhood.
Do you rent or buy?
I bought mine from
Okay.
a man who's retired and moved on. And my neighbors are very good, so they've helped me to adjust and to settle down.
You seem to be an adventurous kind of person, willing to take a few chances.
I am. I travel around the world. I do a lot of trips to many different countries. I do a lot of cruises with my sister and my friends. So I am very, very nomadic.
The association business goes on 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and 12 months. Is there any time that you can see that you would be out of the area more than 30 days?
No, when I'm traveling, usually it's a 7-day cruise or a 10-day trip to Thailand. I went to Morocco for about 15 days. So I have not been at one place for more than 30 days. So traveling is great, but you have to come home eventually.
You do. You know, you mentioned you were a chemist.
Yes.
Yeah, that's something that if you just did what you always did, you never move it forward. So obviously you have a little adventure in you from that standpoint.
Yes, I'm actually trained as a chemist. So my first early part of my life, I was doing chemical research. And then when I started having children, I became a teacher. So I'm a chemical teacher at a high school. And then from there, I supervised the science teachers, and my next promotion was to be the assistant principal at the high school until I retired.
Got a lot of different kind of backgrounds.
Yes, I have a lot of experience, and because I have experience living in a community similar to this, I thought I should get involved. And I got here and I noticed that there are some vacancies on the board. I think there's nothing in the bylaws that says that I can't apply. It says
Oh,
you have to be
no.
it says you have to be an owner and you have to live here at least 4 months before you can apply. So I did apply to be on the board.
That, we need people that are willing to stand up and offer their services, people with backgrounds. It's highly important. Have you joined any clubs or become part of any groups here?
Oh yes, I'm a big club person. The first thing I did when I got here was I joined the Latin dance group, I joined the Scrabble club, I joined the multicultural club, I joined the computer club. So I'm very busy with the different clubs and different groups.
That's interesting because people have the tendency, we have such a plethora of clubs to join. And we warn them, be a little careful how many clubs you get involved, especially if you want to be involved with each of those clubs.
That's true.
Long-range planning, have you looked at our long-range planning group?
Not yet, but there is going to be a long-range planning committee Wednesday. And I'm hoping I can get some of the information before that, because I do plan to attend that meeting. And I think the long-range planning should be involve all of the residents and the board members, and we should think in advance, say 5-10 years out before we do anything, and really sit and have some ideas and work it out together.
Since you have lived in other 55 communities,
Yes, I have.
are there things that you saw there that maybe you'd like to see here and haven't seen yet?
No, it's the opposite. There's some things I've seen there, and one of them that I don't want to see here.
Okay.
I don't want us to leave professional management. I know we have a management company, and let me tell you the secret. First Residential was also our management company in Phoenix, and they did a great job. They managed the complex, and people were happy with them. And but since I've been here, I've heard rumors and mumbling in my neighborhood of people wanting to be rid of a professional management company. I would like to tell everybody out there, that's one of the best companies in the country. They actually manage a lot of properties, not just in Florida, but in many different states. And we've never had any problems with them. So I'd like to see that we maintain a professional management company, because we don't want our property value to decrease, and we'd like to attract more and more people to this area.
What do you think are some of the reasons that we might attract more people?
Well, I would like to I'm hoping that you would use the activities, the amenities, that we would keep the traffic down. I don't know how, but I noticed there's a
If you
lot
come
of...
up with an answer for that, you will run you for a county commission.
I haven't thought about it yet, but I'm thinking about it, because we do have a lot of traffic in this area. So how to attract more people? I would say keep the residential and the price range spread out, because there's some houses that are in the hundreds and there's some houses that are in $1 million. I've been, because I didn't get, I'm rambling on.
That's
You
all right.
didn't ask me that question, but I walk every day. And because I walk every day, I've been to many of the different neighborhoods. And at first, I just did my neighborhood near Walgreens, but then I started going on the opposite side. So we're north, so I've been on the south side. There are many homes and many neighborhoods back there. And I would like to see us continue that we attract people who would be willing to live in different areas, not all the wealthy and not all the not so wealthy.
Diverse.
So we'd like to have a diverse economic community.
It seems we're doing that. We run out of time very quickly, but I have about a minute and a half. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you'd like me to ask, or anything you'd like to share with the voters?
I'd like to share with the voters that I'm new to this complex, but I have some experience and background working with different people, working on committees and working within the community so that we present a unified community and we grow exponentially, but within a diverse economic background. I'm willing to work with everyone on the board. I definitely get along with most people. I've been in so many parts of the world, so I've learned to adjust and to get along. So I'm here to work for you. If you have anything you want me to present before the board, I hope you would let me know. And I'm asking you for your vote. Please vote for Rose. I'm only covering the 1-year term that was left vacant. And if I do well and you like me, then perhaps I could run again and you may vote for me. So I would like to say, I would like your vote. So please vote for me, and I will do my very, very best to do everything possible to make sure that we have a very good unified community and that we keep our property values up. The traffic, I'm thinking about it. How do we maintain this community and control the traffic flow? Thank you.
Rose Myers, thank you for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank
Hi, I'm Bill Hodges, and we have with us today Ron Metelsky. And Ron is a member of Sun City Center,
Yeah.
and he's running for the board of directors here. Thank you. We appreciate you doing that. I'm glad to have you with us.
Well, thank you, Bill. I appreciate you doing this for the candidates, but also for the community. It's important for our community to understand the people running for the board.
One of the things I love about this town is I lived in a military town most of my life. And I found it to be very friendly because everybody was from somewhere else.
Oh, that's very true.
Where did you live before you came here?
We lived in Grace Lake, Illinois, and had been looking for a number of years for a retirement community. But we're really Wisconsinites. Judy and I both grew up in Wisconsin. My family is up there, and we got tired of shoveling snow, however, and needed to find a location in our retirement years where I didn't have to do that.
Now, you live here in Sun City Center. What part of the city do you live in?
I live on the south side. In order to be close to the tennis courts, that was one of the key things that was important to me in retiring, because I believe in being active. I think that keeps you young, and therefore we live on the south side. It took us a couple of tries before we found the house that we could settle on, but we really enjoy it here.
How long have you been here now?
I've been here for 8.5 years. As a matter of fact, we decided that when we found the place we wanted to live, that we were going to become involved in the community and do various different things. So,
I'm assuming, since you looked at several different places, that you did buy rather than rent?
oh yes, we own our home. As a matter of fact, we have wonderful neighbors, and enjoy the fact, the key thing about Sun City Center is it's a community where you feel welcome and at home. People are very friendly.
It
People
is.
help each other, and that's very important to us.
Association business is an ongoing thing. It doesn't stop over the summer or any other time. Is there any time when you would be out of the city, planning to be out of the city, more than 30 days?
No, we do not plan to be out of the community for more than 30 days. We, of course, like to take cruises and
So do we.
vacations and that kind of thing. But it's very important, especially since I've been on the board for 3 years, that board members really are here and available, because things are going on in the summertime as well as during the wintertime. And when the snowbirds are gone, we still have things we have to address and attend to. So it's very important to be here on a permanent basis.
What educational or business or volunteer experience do you think gives you an edge to be on the board?
Well, I've had an undergraduate degree in math and a master's in business from Marquette University.
No wonder you want to get out of the cold.
Yes, yes, very much so. I've had over 50 years of professional experience in information technology, and that during my professional career, I was information technology director for 5 different companies, one of which is a Fortune 500. Last 10 years of my career, I was a consultant, and I was a consulting manager for 2 software companies, where I had to run teams of consultants across the country, doing software support and that kind of thing. So I've got experience with all kinds of levels of organizations. And early on, when my boys were young, I was a Cub Master and a committee chairman. And we were very successful in having a PAC that was so successful in fundraising, we were able to take the boys to professional basketball games every year. And that was really a fun thing. I'm fiscally conservative, and I've been on 3 different finance committees of different churches we belong to.
You're currently on the board,
Yes, I'm currently on the board.
and so it's kind of a hard question for you. But what are the decisions of the board do you really like, and are there some you really like to see worked on?
Okay.
Not necessarily wrong, but things you'd like to see worked on.
Right. I think several of the things that we've done in the past year are really good for the community. We went ahead and approved the expansion and the facility upgrade for volleyball and pickleball. We also approved the refreshing of the buildings and facilities of the community, and I like very much the recommendation of the long-range planning and what we've done with the medians on the north side. And I think the fresh appearance and look of the community is very important.
Yeah, I agree on the front, on the north side. That project they went into, all Florida, it needed a lot of work.
Oh, that's very true.
What is your vision for the community? Where would you like to see it go?
Well, I would like, since we're landlocked and stabilized, since we lost our builder, I would like us to continue to be able to bring new people into the community. A lot of our community are multi-generational, which is very interesting. I mean, Dee Kelly runs a really nice generation project, keeping track of those families that have been here for quite some time. We need to keep that going in the word of mouth. But we also need to watch our turnover so that we don't get ourselves into a stagnant kind of situation where we can't sell our homes anymore. I think we've been doing a good job of that.
What decisions of the long-range planning committee have you thought were great and maybe things you'd like to see them take up?
Well, I think the changes that Eric Porter's done with the long-range planning have really shown some very positive results. I mean, one of the results was what we did with the medians and refreshing things. Another thing that he's got going and that we need to continue to go, he's formulated focus groups for different interests of what people think are important. And we need to know what people are looking for. We had an unfortunate situation several years ago where a building was voted down. Well, at the time, you know, we had a couple of things going against us. The price of construction and everything dramatically took off, and then we had a plan that the community, I think, didn't really like, and they were right to vote it down. But we've done some very good things in being able to increase our capital fund, and we now have fees to do things and moving forward. We need to continue to improve our facilities and to make sure that we don't let them fall behind and look like we're old and in disrepair.
Yeah, I'm mindful of a old man's tie that he's put on for years, and it's dark right here where the knot is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does happen, and it's sort of like the mouse in the barrel. He sit there and heat him up, and he sits there, or the frog in the barrel.
That's right.
Sits there and dies because
Yep.
he doesn't know to get out.
Sure. I think we we need to look forward to the future of maybe using more newer technology. I personally think that maybe we should rebadge our system, where instead of having to inspect people's badges for all our different activities, maybe we've got the badge talking to a machine that recognizes that we belong here.
You know, with your background in information technology, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, yeah. And we also probably should be looking at, are we spending enough on keeping our equipment and facilities up to date? If you look at the history of our community, we struggled for many years on kind of being hand to mouth. We really didn't have very much money to do things. The first 30 years, we were dependent on the builder for our facilities and things, and then after they turned things over to us, we really didn't have the mechanisms for acquiring the cash to be able to do things. And now we finally got things moving quite along. As a matter of fact, I brought here some minutes, and it.
But we're gonna run out of time, I'm afraid.
Okay, sorry.
And we've only got about 15 seconds left. Is there something you'd like to share in that time?
Okay, all right. I'm very concerned about going forward and keeping our community spirit, and to enkindle or re-enkindle the volunteerism of the community. This community has always been one of helping one another. As a matter of fact, we have so many volunteer organizations that are now struggling for volunteers. And our average age is 75 plus. Many of our volunteers have been doing it for a long time, are wearing up. And we need to do something to encourage people for that, because that's one of the things that makes us unique.
Ron Metelsky, thank you so much for being with us. I appreciate it, and thank you for being on the board now and for working towards community betterment.
Thank you very much, Bill. I hope I haven't overrun my time.
You're fine. Hi, I'm Bill Hodges, and this is Carrie Blaylock, a candidate for the Board of Directors here in Sun City Center Community Association. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this. This is a wonderful service.
Well, thank you for running. Really, it's extremely important. I have a series of questions here that you've had advantage of looking at. And first thing I'd like to know is, where were you from before you came to Sun City Center?
A small town in Michigan, Richmond, Michigan.
Richmond?
Yes.
Where in Sun City Center do you live? Not your street number.
Cherry Hills Drive.
Cherry Hills Drive. How long have you been here in Sun City Center?
We moved in late of 2016.
So you've been here
Almost 7.
almost 7 years, so it gives you a chance to do a lot of things. What association, business, or ongoing process have you been involved in that you think you can bring to the board?
I was very active back in Michigan. I was a child care director of a child care center and a educator at the same time during the school year. And on summers and weekends, I was the recreation director for a campground.
Oh,
So
really?
I have a lot of experience with amenities and what can go wrong and what works.
What works is important.
Yes.
But knowing what can go wrong is also there.
Right, yeah, and emergency procedures with such amenities.
It is important that our members be able to get in touch with our board members.
Oh, I agree.
I think seeing them on the street and in the pool or wherever is something that's very important. Is there a time, any time during the year, that you plan to be away from Sun City Center more than 30 days?
No, not at all. Actually, we just took our first vacation in 5 years, so we're good. We have no plans. We're not snowbirds year round, and I'm very active in the community.
What are some of the things that you're doing in the community?
I am in the Potter's Wheel. I've been in there since we first moved, and I'm also the social director for that club. I'm in ceramics. I'm in water volleyball. I was in photography, but I learned that that's not mine. And that's one of the things I love
There's
about
some
this
really
community.
smart people over
Yes.
there in photography.
Yes, there is. So, and I use the outdoor pool daily for a few hours every day.
What decisions of our current board do you really enjoy or like?
Lately, I've been very happy to see the surveys and welcoming the input from our community. We have very smart residents here, and their suggestions and advice are priceless.
Do you have any issues that you'd like to see changed on the board?
Not necessarily a major issue. I do have concerns about that the roof on Rollins hasn't been replaced, and the building just seems to be kind of in a standstill.
How about long-range planning? Have you spent any time with the long-range planning committee?
I did apply to be on the committee, but I wasn't chosen. And no, I have not been asked by them for any input other than the surveys.
As you point out, the survey's been very
Yes,
good.
the surveys have been very good and the focus groups have been very good.
What is your vision for the community? What would you like to see Sun City become? Or is it good the way it is?
The way it is working. I would like to see the amenities that we have improved and maintained and kept top of the line. And then when we've achieved that, have a master plan and then continue to build on what the demand is, whether it is a new pool or a new clubhouse. The members need to help make that decision before any money is spent.
How would you do that?
I would do some more surveys, and they have said that a pool is a top priority. So, and I believe the Long Range Planning Committee is going down the correct path with the surveys that they're doing and what type of pool and things like that. So I am happy with that. But anything else as far as new buildings and that, it needs to be the same way of what does the community need and want, not just another building, what would it be used for?
And how is it going to be paid for?
And for, yes, I believe we should stay debt-free. I'm 100%
That was my
for
next question. You just took my question away from me, Carrie.
staying debt-free 100%.
Well, and a lot of people feel that same way. One of our neighbor communities is a lot of millions of dollars in debt. And certainly that's not something to be proud of,
No.
although they have a lot of nice things. Would you continue to attract quality members to our community? How would you do that?
One thing that I would like to do is to have, at least on the weekends, to have some of our amenities open later than 10 p.m. The billiards room, the fitness center open a little bit later, a couple of days a week, because the younger retirees that are still working have a hard time enjoying our amenities during the week.
We do have a number of younger people moving into
Yes,
the area.
we do, and we need to be open to change, to accept them, and to encourage more to move in and keep us vital.
Are you owners or renters in the community?
I am a trustee.
That's an interesting one. I haven't heard that before, so would you explain that for us?
Sure. The house is owned by my parents, and I am the trustee caring for it for my children.
So it's in the family,
It's in the family, yes.
and it's meant to stay in the family. Is
Yes.
that what you're
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
When it comes to building new buildings and things of that nature, do you see a particular need, something we're missing?
No, I think that with some re-evaluation that we are pretty well set. I do think we need some more amenities on the south side. I'm not a baseball or pickleball player, but I think that what they're planning to do is wonderful for them. I do think we need to work on having an ADA family restroom for spouses that need to help each other. And I do think that we need to work on the lift chairs for the pools, because the batteries seem to go dead a lot on them, and make sure that all of our entryways are wide enough for our handicapped members.
Well, there's one who is handicapped. I wear braces on my legs. I can understand that's a very important factor to a whole lot of us. A curb
Yes.
becomes a doorway.
Yes, and as the community ages, there's a lot of tripping hazards with tree roots, grass sinking, sidewalk raising, and I think those things should also be addressed before they become a hazard to us.
Now, I promised I'd give you a little bit of time at the end to talk directly to our members.
Okay.
And if there are things that I didn't ask you already that you'd like brought up, please feel free to do so.
Okay. Well, one of the things you said about new members is I volunteer at the information center, and I would like, after we give a tour to a prospective resident, that we follow up with a questionnaire of what they like about our community or what they don't like, so that we have some info to go on and what we need to do to attract more residents and to keep us on the map for people to retire at too. And I want to help our board. I'm a team player. I don't want to be an argumentative member of the board. I want to work together for the best for the community. We have a wonderful community, and I want to do all that I can to help us continue to grow and be successful here.
One final thought. If you had a magic wand and you could wave it, what would you like to see done in order to let people know more about Sun City Center?
I would like us to possibly have some better advertising outside of Hillsborough County, because when you come into Florida, when you drive back into Florida, you see advertising for the villages all the way up on 75. And I think that it may be something that we need to do in the welcome centers of the entrance to the state to get our name up there so that people know we're here.
That's a good idea. Carrie Blaylock, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your taking the time to be a part of the community and wanting to help manage the community. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back with our next candidate.
Thank you.
Hi, I am Bill Hodges, and with me I have a candidate for the Board of Directors of the Sun City Center Community Association, Eric Poor. Eric, glad to have you with us. Thanks
Bill.
for making time for me this morning.
Thanks for having me out. Appreciate it.
It's important that we have leadership. There's something written that says where there is no leadership, the people perish. And it's good that people like yourself and others want to be a part of this. I'd like to get a little background on you. Where did you come from before you were here in Sun City Center?
Well, I grew up in upstate New York, Rochester, New York,
Okay.
and went through high school and college when I lived up there. But then afterwards, I got smart and moved down to the south where it was warmer. So I spent most of my working career in the southeast, Texas, North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida.
Gee, it took me a lot longer than you to get smart. Tell me, where do you currently reside here in Sun City Center? Not your street address, just what part of the city do you live in?
I live on the north side of 674.
How long have you been here in Sun City Center, and are you a renter or do you own?
I've lived and owned in Sun City Center for the past 7 years.
Have you enjoyed the 7 years? Do you like it here?
I love it. I love it here. I love the community.
The association business is an ongoing thing, and our members like to have access to our people coming in and out on the board and in management positions. Is there a time, any time during the year, do you plan to be gone from Sun City more than 30 days?
No, I do not plan on doing that. I'm a full-time resident here, and I have my own homestead exemption, so I enjoy
Couldn't ask for it to be better, right?
couldn't ask for the tax breaks as well as the sunshine.
Tell me, what educational or volunteer background do you think you have that makes you a good board member?
Well, I think that my background is that I have a BSBA degree at Bowling Green State University in Ohio. And I was also received logistic traffic manager certification from Davenport College, which allows me to become a traffic manager if I want. It's like a CPA endorsement. I've been 30 years experience as a senior executive for a Fortune 500 company, Waste Management. I have past board president of the Lawn Bowling Club for 2 years, chairman of the Long Range Planning Committee currently, and member of the Keep America Beautiful, the Moose Lodge, and former member of Rotary International.
Well, it sounds like you keep pretty busy.
All the time, that's why I like it.
What do you, since you mentioned the long-range planning, what do you think are the most important things that the long-range planning committee can bring to the board and to the membership?
Well, you know I'm very passionate about that. I've been involved in it and spent lots of hours working on this subject. And I think that, the main thing is that I am trying to get input from the community. I think it was vital that we do get input on each project and what the features and benefits that the people like about the project, and give them choices when we present that to the community, and not just give them one choice, we give them multiple choices. And we're trying to do it through surveys as well as focus group sessions where you're live and one-on-one and listen to what people have to say.
How has your response been to your surveys and to your focus groups?
I think our response has been excellent, from the standpoint that we've had between 1,000 to 1,500 responses to various surveys that we've done. We're getting equal surveys, demographics from the north side, the south side, male, female, and we're getting it from the young group that is moving in here, as well as the people that have been here a while, and then the seasoned group. So, I think that we have good demographic representation going there.
That's interesting because I'm wondering, do you have a vision for the community? You're running the long-range planning, but is there a vision you have for the community?
Well, I think that the vision that I have is more to make sure that we get the proper input on what it is and let the community decide. And we use these focus group sessions and the surveys to hear from all of the community, because some people like some things and some people not. But I think, from a democracy standpoint, we want everybody to have a vote, and, the board can there take direction from those surveys to see, what is the majority of the people want, and what direction do we want to head.
What focus are you seeing for the future?
Well, we've already gotten the top 10 list from the community, and we've probably knocked off about 4 of those, and we have 6 left that we have to make decisions upon and prioritize what we want to do.
Should we continue to proceed as a pay-as-you-go community, or should we go into debt? How do you feel about that?
Well, I've been an advocate and an advisor to the board of directors that we needed to raise our capital fee.
Okay.
And when I first got on the board, it was $1,800. We now have it up to $3,000. And I did that by showing comparison of other Del Webb facilities throughout the U.S. and showed how low our rate was compared to other 55 plus communities.
That doesn't seem to affect the number of people wanting to buy.
No, this past year we've had more people buy into Sun City than ever. It's a new record this year.
It's interesting, and you probably have a pretty good handle on this, maybe more than some others. We build a new building, we've also got to pay for it somehow or another, not just pay for the building, but the maintenance of it. We get all this extra money from what you had as far as the buy-in fee, if you will, and we can build a lot, but how are we going to pay for it?
Well, we have this capital fund to help pay for it, but I think maybe you're talking about how we pay for the operation of it.
Yes, exactly.
Right. So
Somebody's got to clean it, somebody's got to paint it, take care of it, and that doesn't come from that other fund.
correct, that doesn't. That comes from the operating fees. So what you will see that if you replace an older building, you will see that a lot of the operating costs will go down when you replace with a new building that has better insulation, better lighting, that uses a lot less electric and air conditioning services. But if you add in an additional facility like another pool or stuff, yes, you will have additional electric costs and features that go with that. But I think that what we're looking for is something that the community wants, and we want other people to move into the facility that they like, that has been upgraded, and that, you know, it protects yours and mine of the investment that we have in the community, is by keeping that progress going and modernizing and building the projects that the people currently here want to see and willing to pay for.
I promised you a minute at the end where you could talk directly to our audience and sum up maybe something I didn't ask you or something you'd like to say.
Yeah, I would. I have a little list here. But I think that, you know, I asked for your vote. I'm a great listener and care about this community, and I've shown that with the efforts that I've put in and time I've put in. I'm a believer in getting the community input and making major decisions that affect our community as a whole, not as a singular unit. I'm an advocate of no debt and being fiscally responsible in how we operate the facilities that we manage. I'm a believer that we need to maintain our 501(c) status to keep our operating dues to a minimum. That is very important. A lot of people don't understand this 501(c)(3), how much money it saves us in taxes and.
I know it's a good thing, but I really don't understand it, like most people.
Yeah. And I'm a believer in community choices when deciding upon future capital projects, and I will give you those choices in the near future. The last thing is that I think my education, business, and volunteer background experience brings a qualified skill set to this board of directors.
Eric Poor, thank you. I appreciate you coming in and the time you commit to the community. Without leadership, the people perish, and we do need leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back with the next candidate. Hi, I'm Bill Hodges, and with me I have a candidate for the Sun City Center Board of Directors, Tony Rickard. Tony, pleased to have you on the program with me.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
We have a few questions, and one of them I'd like to know is just, where do you come from?
Well, I come from the Chicago area. I lived in the suburbs, northwest suburbs of Chicago.
One guy looked at me and said, my mom and dad.
Well, that too, but that was a few years earlier. So yeah, I came from Chicago, born and raised there, and I moved here 2.5 years ago.
And what part of the town do you live in, and do you rent or own?
I live on just about a half mile from here, on the Ojai, or Ojai, however it's pronounced. I always get asked that, and I say, hey, whatever way you want to call it, I got it, you know. So,
That's the Spanish influence.
that's it. Mm-hmm.
How long have you been in Sun City, did you say?
About 2.5 years.
2.5 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We moved here because my wife has relatives that lived here for about past 20 years or something like that. And so she wanted to retire down here. And when I finally retired, I said, okay, let's do it. So.
You know, it's interesting. The association business goes on 24/7,
Right.
12 months a year.
Right.
Are there any times that you'll be out of town more than 30 days that you plan?
No, I don't. I'm here all the time.
Now, obviously,
yeah, we
people
don't-
go on cruises,
Yeah.
and in and out, but continuously.
Now, we don't plan, as a matter of fact, this last September, we went up to Chicago to visit family for a week and a half because our 50th wedding anniversary. My wife says, I'm not driving up there again, so maybe if we go, it'll be short trips. So, no, I'm here full time.
We started out that same way, gonna go home every Christmas until we hit the first 2 blizzards.
Yeah, that's it. The grandkids can come down here. I don't have to go up there to see them.
What educational, business, or association activities you've been involved in that will help you to become a good board member?
Okay, well, my education, I have a master's, an MBA from DePaul University. I also have a master's certificate in project management from George Washington University. I worked as a project manager for 27 years at Motorola. Started with financial systems, but then I worked with the cell phones and the push-to-talk radio for the Nextel phones that we had. Then after that, I drove a school bus for 12 years, so that was kind of interesting. But I have a lot of experience with. I've worked on a couple of school boards in the city. When I lived in the city, I was vice president of the school board for a Catholic school. I was also the vice president of bingo committee. Someone said, what was that? I said, that means if someone goes to jail because we did something wrong, I'm one of the guys on the license, and I go to jail. But at any rate, I've worked with that. For 40 years, I've been very active with the Knights of Columbus and various offices, state and local area offices. And I have a wide range of experiences, and I feel that I work well with people, and that would help with getting a consensus of what the people want and try to find a solution.
Looking at our current board, are there decisions of the current board that you particularly like?
Well, the current ones what I've been exposed to, a couple of things. One was when they were talking about upgrading Rollins Theater or repairing it, new roof and so on, or build a new building. And I think there was some wasted time in there. And they never made a decision, but they spent a lot of money on that research for a new building and never went anywhere. Something's got to be done with the longer they wait to redo the roof, which they've been postponing on the Rollins Theater, the worse it's going to get. You got to get it done before it causes more problems. The other stuff, I think the decision that they made to put the gold card for across the street there for Kings Point might have been a little short-sighted. I know it solved some issues with the clubs, but I think it caused more problems with others, evident by something like 60 to 80 clubs folded because they lost all that membership. So, and then the board was asked to revisit that, and the current board voted it down, not to even revisit it. They said, we put it in 2 years ago, it's fine. Well, I feel after 2 years, a decision should be revisited to see if what we thought happened would happen. The only other one was the holiday schedule. A lot of people are wanting the pool open for a few hours on Christmas or Thanksgiving. They have family in and they like to take them to the pool. And of course, because of the contract with the employees, they say, well, we can't do anything about it. But they won't even, when they tried to open it for discussion in March, they voted it down. Now, this last meeting, they did vote, they'll discuss it. But I mean, I gotta feel that there's gotta be a way around it. Maybe an employee that would mind working a few hours on those days to do it. But at least they got to look at it. They didn't want to look at it, it seemed like. So.
Are there any other things that you think are important to the board ought to have brought before them?
Well, I don't, nothing in particular. I do like the idea they came up with the long-range planning committee, which has about 10 items on it and a list of what people wanted and so on. I'd like to see that moved along where they put some dollar estimates to each of those projects, and then they say, okay, here's how much money we have. Where do we spend it? Do we spend it, do number 1, 2, and 3 because we can afford it? Or do we do 1, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 because we can get more done for the bucks we have? Put the others off. But at least if they put a price on it, we can, they can bounce back and forth and figure out which is the best way to go. But that's the big thing, I think, to improve the facilities and make it more space for some of the clubs like the Pottery Club and the Stained Glass and the Sawdust Engineers. They were running out of space. That's why they didn't want all the Kings Point people in. But maybe we can find some more space that we can expand them and they can do it. So.
Are there things that you would like to see done now? New projects?
Well, like I said, I think some cleaning up. Well, they've done a good job with the grass, the median down Del Webb there, but expanding the facilities, making it nicer to live in. Maybe the pool, the resort pool type setup would be nice, but in an outdoor amphitheater and expanding. I think that the concerts in the gazebo are fine, but it gets really congested to try to go down the road there when that's around. Maybe that's got to be moved somewhere else. But so some things like that, and those are on, a lot of those are on the list of the Long Range Planning Committee. And
I'm impressed with so many people like yourself that have advanced degrees. How do we continue to draw those kind of people into Sun City Center?
Well, I think we make the place. When I look for a place to retire, I want a place where I can retire. I don't have to go through the rat race, and I can enjoy myself. I can play cards or play pickleball or lawn bowl or whatever. And I think if we can expand our facilities and make them more attractive to the public, that'll bring us more people. And there's a lot of this word of mouth. I learned from my wife's cousin, other people through, there are second and third generation people down here, and
Is there anything I haven't asked you that you would like to say or would like to talk directly to the voters?
Well, I'm big with the clubs. I belong to many of the clubs: Pinnacle Club, Euchre Club, President of Euchre Club. I'm vice president of one of the poker clubs, and we have a lot. People come every week. It's a lot of fun, and we want people to come and enjoy themselves. And the more we can do to expand these clubs and give them the facilities, I think we will give more reason for people to come, and enjoy their retirement with us in Sun City.
I wonder, one last question,
Okay.
since you give me a little extra time. Is there any way that you can think of that we might very quickly, in a couple of sentences, advertise our area outside of that word of mouth?
Well, I guess, I guess you could do some brochures out, or even the not public service announcements, but commercial type announcements that shows the benefits of retiring here, the things we have, the fact that we're debt free, the fact that we have all these clubs and activities to do, and make these activities available, and they'll get it through if we have outside sports teams come in to play lawn bowling or play softball or play pickleball, and we go to them and they see us, and they would expand us too. They would help.
Tony Rickard, thank you so much
My
for
pleasure.
coming in and talking
Okay.
with us, and
pleasure.
good luck.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Bill Hodges, and I have with me a candidate for the Sun City Center Board of Directors, Dan Osborne. Dan, what a
Morning, Bill.
pleasure to have you here.
Good
Thank
morning.
you so much. Really, if we have nobody running, then we have no leadership. And it's delightful to see so many this year that want to be a part of our leadership. Shows we're a vibrant community. Where did you start out, Dan?
Well, I'm a New Englander, originally born and raised in Massachusetts. Joined the service, served 6 years in the military as part of the 25th Infantry Division, Tropic Lightning, actually out of Hawaii.
Oh, hard duty.
Tough duty. My wife and I, we married back then, and we then eventually, had kids and such and moved to New Jersey. I worked in Manhattan, so I commuted for about 25
Wow.
years into Manhattan from New Jersey. We are, I think what brings us here, we are third generation residents. So on my wife's side, her grandparents have lived here. I think back in the 70s, they started renting. They eventually bought on Council Drive and then moved to Ojai, and then, passed on and of course left the property to her parents who have lived on Ojai and now El Rancho. So they've kind of drawn us into the area, and we've been visiting the area for quite some time. So we've seen the growth, tremendous growth in the area. And then again, we're year-round residents. I do work from home, but year-round property owners. Again, we started out on the north side, and now we live on the south side.
That's really interesting. And over the period of years that we've lived here now, the work from home has become more prevalent, because I was still doing that when I got here. And I'm seeing more and more people do that.
Yeah, I think with COVID, I've got a son and daughter in the financial services industry as well. That's my background. My son decided to up and leave Boston, and he's actually out in Denver, Colorado now, working from home for a firm out there. But yeah, I think, you know, with what's taken place recently and the I guess the acceptance by companies to allow people to work from home, people are picking up and moving to places they really want to live. Yeah.
What background and experience do you have that you think will be valuable to the board?
Well, I think one had the opportunity recently to be appointed to the budget committee, and so I've begun to learn and understand some of the details around the budget, how the capital fund is funded, and hurricane deductible account is funded, and the different portions and segments of that, and really what goes into the decision-making process and the management of that budget. So I think there's that. I think the other kind of board member related type questions. I've been part of a regional youth organization. I served as a town representative and then eventually became the president of that organization up in New Jersey. And then my professional background is focused on basically computer science technology. But I worked for the last I've put in about 25, 30 years with folks like Merrill Lynch, Franklin Templeton, JP Morgan. I was a director of IT and focused on wealth management systems. And if you can imagine the amount of money and that's transferred through those systems.
I don't think I can even imagine
it's amazing.
Go through
it's
there.
amazing. So, and I think part of that, the success I've had, I lean on my background, my technical skills and things like that, but building relationships, and really understanding building trust and respect with people is extremely important. Everyone's got their own agendas and everyone's trying to achieve different things, and in my role I've got to kind of go in and kind of sort through that and kind of filter out the noise and figure out what's most important, and then kind of project.
Especially if you're dealing with my money.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Not that it's such a big deal.
No. So that's kind of my background. That's why I think that's why I believe I'm qualified. And I think furthermore, I do have a vested interest in Sun City Center. My family has had a vested interest in Sun City Center, and I want to see this place, Sun City Center, continue to prosper as it has in the past and on into the future. So.
You were talking about being on the budget committee.
Yes.
And are there groups or clubs that you belong to also?
I am part of the men's club. I visit and frequent the gym quite a bit. I love the facility over there.
It's nice it's there, right?
It is a beautiful facility. But outside of that, we really haven't gotten involved in too much else. My wife works full time.
You're still working.
Yeah, and my wife too, Julie. She's actually the manager of the hospice house over here on Upper Creek. So between the two of us working quite a bit, our time's somewhat limited, with getting involved in some of the clubs. So we could do better. I think it's good though. We know they're there, right? We've got numerous amenities and activities that we certainly can take advantage of, and I think that's one of the draws to Sun City Center.
We've estimated that there are 7,000 people in Sun City Center that don't go to any club. They just love living here.
Yeah, and I would have to agree with that. I mean, I've been at board meetings with the budget. We get 30 people show up out of 11,500. I've heard the meeting on Wednesday, they expect somewhere between 400, 500. And it's like, we've got 11,500 people here. So, and I do believe that. I think again, there's plenty of opportunity, and I think that's the point, right? If people want to take advantage of that, again, there's the amenities and services that are here, right, for them to enjoy. So,
with your background in financial, what do you see as a vision for this community?
Well, one, I want to go back to the original vision for this community, right? And I think our future kind of is derived from that. And where I'm going is outside of financial, we want to look at affordability, low dues, no debt, things like that. But I think the other thing is what attracted people here originally. You know, we're a golf course community. We've got tremendous services, you know, facilities, clubs, et cetera, et cetera. So we want to, you know, the golf community, but we also want to support an active lifestyle. So, you know, people like rollerblading.
And that changes now.
It does. I mean, I used to play racquetball. You know, that's kind of faded away, and now pickleball's the big sensation, right? So I think, you know, but again, support an active lifestyle, stay current, things like that. We've got some challenges ahead of us. You know, we've got talk around Club Link coming in and building 600 homes. You know, so, you know, kind of working, you know, with the members of the association on potentially trying to block that, you know, so things like that. The other would be making sure from a budget perspective we are funding things appropriately based on the governing documents of the community and the association. So, you know, I think there's some debate on kind of the hurricane deductible fund. Right now that's not fully funded. I think we're funded at around 300,000 and change. We need to be funded at 600 and change. So there's some debate on how we're going to achieve that. And one of the things I know, one of the questions that we talked about prior to starting the conversation was the board. One of the things I do like about the board is the diversity, right? I think there's a number of different individuals. They all have their own personalities, their own interests and thoughts and ideas, and their own approach to how they solve problems. And there were some great ideas recently brought up on, you know, from an innovative or creative way to not increase our dues, but how do we fund that, you know, that fund? And there's some ideas that they're pursuing, and I think that's a great approach, and I do appreciate the board members and, you know, their creativity to some of these problems.
We've got about a minute left.
Yep.
Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you'd really like to get in about 45 seconds time?
Do you have, I know, long-range planning, right? Any specific questions around long? I think, you know, I touched on remaining a golf course community, the amenities, what draws people here, no debt. You know, I think the community in general is debt averse. I think the members here have done a great job at saving and preparing for a rainy day, and I think we have funds in our budget to actually support new development. So let's say modernizing the pool, you know, area and things like that. Those are big discussions taking place right now. And then of course, you know, how can we not support residential development, but how can we support the development of multi-purpose trails, picnic areas, you know, some of the other things that we could do to maybe entice or beautify kind of the area in terms of the open spaces. So,
Well, I hope we can keep bringing people like yourself in that are willing to get and be part of this, Dan Osborne. Thank you for being a part of this.
Thank you,
and
Bill.
We'll talk to you very again.
Thank you, Bill.
Talk to
Thank you,
again
folks.
very- Hi, I am Bill Hodges, and we have with us a candidate for the Sun City Center Board of Directors, Debbie Canine. Debbie,
Hi, Bill.
good to see you.
Good to be here.
Always good to see you.
Thank you, you too.
You know, there's so much you've been involved in this town, and I've known you for a long time, but I don't know where you started out.
Oh, you're gonna laugh. I was born and raised in Tampa.
No.
I swear. I went from Tampa to Lithia. I had a farm out there, and then moved to Ruskin for 15 years, and then moved to Apollo Beach, and now I'm here. So when you say a local, I'm a local.
Did you get to do any trips at all?
I've done some trips. I like it here. I'm a sailor, and Tampa Bay is my place to hang out.
I understand that. We had a 25-footer ourselves for a long time. Where in Sun City Center do you currently reside?
I'm on El Rancho on the north side.
On north side?
Yep.
When did you first come to Sun City Center?
Oh, well, I've worked in Sun City Center full-time since 2004. And as I lived in Ruskin and Apollo Beach nearby here, so I feel like I've lived here since that time, really.
I know you've got properties around, but
I
do you rent or buy when you're here?
No, I own my home on El Rancho.
Okay.
And it's funny. My husband is my neighbor, and he owns a house on Ojai right behind me. So we have 2 homes in the family, and then a few investment homes, even one in Kings Point, which helps me understand what they're up to over there with their rules.
And the little houses.
And the tiny home community, yeah, and that's in Ruskin.
The association business is 24/7, 12 months a year. Are there any reasons that you would be away from us for more than 30 days?
No, I'm entrenched here, between the rental homes and the tiny home community and Sun Towers and my volunteerism. I'm going to go to visit my daughter in Tennessee on occasion, but a week at the most.
So you're actually currently employed, is that correct?
I am, and I'm very blessed in that my role at Sun Towers for the last 13 years actually has been one of being a resource to seniors in Sashel. So here I sit in my Sun Towers outfit, being a resource to seniors, and so since I moved here I thought, wow, what better way than to be on the board. I was the chair of the board at the Sun City Center Chamber, and I'm the president of a local nonprofit organization that works with the men's club. So yeah, it's just kind of fitting in with my role that I'm already doing. And I get to use all the resources
Not
I've
only
gotten.
that, the world is changing. When we first got here, there weren't very many people working. And
There are
it's
a
more and
lot,
more
yeah.
people coming to town working.
Yeah.
What education, association experience do you bring to the board that you think will be of value to the board?
Yeah, good question. I feel like experience more so than anything. Again, being at Sun Towers for the past 13 years. Prior to that, I worked at Aston Gardens. I worked at Pacifica, Florida Orthopedic. So I've been entrenched here in Sun City Center. I understand the resources that we have. I understand the things that we lack. When I have someone call me who has a need and I can't find the answer for them, it makes me crazy. I'm a workaholic. I don't watch television. I enjoy being involved. I enjoy social engagement. So I'm on social media or talking to a neighbor, or I'm always into something. I can't sit still. And I kind of like it that way. One of the things that I have to say is that I realize that a successful aging process takes place when a senior has purpose. You have to have purpose. So I have a lot of purpose.
Yeah, I'm ADD myself.
See? You get it.
You gotta keep moving.
Yeah.
But I learned you can't hit a moving target as easy.
That's true.
You've watched the board, and I know you've gone to the board meetings.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things that you like that this current board has been doing?
I really have to thank the current board. I feel like COVID was a whopping challenge for all of us. And I feel like they did a really good job keeping us safe, doing the right thing. So I'm grateful to them, and I hope everyone else can recognize that. That could not have been an easy task at the time.
Life is like a smorgasbord, and so is a board of directors. Are there things that you would like to see done differently?
Well, there's a few things that I'm concerned about with decisions that the board has made. One of those that has bothered me a bit is it seems like the neglect for the Rollins Theater. I know it's needed a new roof for quite some time. My understanding is that Lynn requested a new roof in her plans and was denied that, so it makes me wonder, what are they doing? Because of the real estate that I hold, I know you've got to take care of things or it deteriorates, so that one worries me. Some other things that the board has done, it feels from talking to club members that bureaucracy has increased a bit, and so I feel like a lot of the clubs would like to be able to say, hey, we need more people from Kings Point, or we don't need anybody from Kings Point, our membership is full. I feel like we should allow the clubs to kind of regulate that themselves. If they've got the room, great. If not, then it should be their responsibility to regulate that. And then the long range planning committee, and I know we're going to probably get to that question, so I could probably
That's
say
next.
that. All right, well then let's just roll to that one then.
What decisions of the current board, you already talked about that, but what is your vision for the community with the long range planning committee?
Yeah, so that I actually have drawings and things like that I've worked up with a young volunteer from Hillsborough Community College. I know some people have said I had someone from USF, and that's not quite the case. But one, and I won't show those now, they're on the website, but if you go back and look at the long range planning committee since 2012 and our most recent survey, and I'm going to look at my notes so I don't goof up, the rankings came back from the last focus group, where number 1 on the list was more pickleball courts. So God bless the board. I know they've worked on that and knocking that out. And then number 2 is renovate the Rollins building. So, rather than tear that thing down, apparently that's what the community wants. Resort style pool, land acquisition, and then social gathering space with a restaurant or a bar. And those are the top 5 that our community has said we want. So when I look at how can we maintain a viable community where our property values stay up there, a master plan is the answer in my mind. And so what do you need to start with? Well, based on priorities with Rollins ranking high, I would put a new roof on it. I would probably make the roof a little bit bigger, make it a common area so that the courtyard is a place for social gathering. If you're not in a club, you want to just go hang out with somebody. If we were to save Rollins and then utilize the funds in the capital fund to build the next thing, or I would love, and I want to check with the board and the bylaws and the articles of incorporation to see as a 501c3 if we can enlist legacy donations. We've got a lot of residents who have told me, I would love to donate a couple $100,000 to do this or that. Wouldn't it be nice to have
Would you give me their names?
They're in my back pocket. But could you imagine if they matched some of our capital funds and to increase that bucket that we then have so we don't have to go into debt? We can do things a little bit at a time. But to sit down with a realtor and say, hey, this is our master plan, show this to your potential client. Well, now we have a roadmap. And I think you have to have a roadmap in order to progress. Otherwise, you're going to stay in 2012 where we continue to do these surveys and not build anything.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of surveys since I've been here.
Yeah. I've seen a few.
Let me ask you, I'm sure I haven't asked you everything that you'd like to answer. Is there one thing, and you've got about a minute and a half
Okay.
to talk about and just to talk to the voter?
Yay! Yeah, so I would like for more of my neighbors to be involved. When I see that the total number of votes is only 1,200 votes, or there might be someone on Facebook who proposes something and you get 1 or 2 likes, or something like that. I know my neighbors are in their homes, they're having their 3 meals a day, but come out of your house, get involved. You don't have to do anything. Come whisper in my ear and say, you know what, I would love to have this or that, and I'll work on it. I'll talk to fellow board members, I'll talk to fellow neighbors. We'll rally and make things happen, and then you can feel like you've got a sense of purpose because, hey, look what I started. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, so vote for me. We'll have fun. It'll be great.
Debbie Kneen, thank you so
Bill
much
Hodges,
for being with us. I
thank you for
appreciate
having
it
me.
very
I'm
much.
glad to
Always
be here.
good to see you.
Always good to see you, too.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back with our next candidate right away.
Hi, I am Bill Hodges, and this is a series of interviews with candidates for the Sun City Center Board of Directors. And now you'll meet Jeff Parsons. Jeff, pleased to meet you.
Pleased to meet you too.
Where did you come from before you come to Sun City Center?
I grew up and reside in a small town called Shenango Forks. Shenango Forks is just an residential area outside of Binghamton, New York, upstate New York.
What kind of work did you do up there?
Well, when I first got out of college, I worked at a company that built simulators for aircrafts, and then I went into the electric union for 20 years. And then most of my time in the union, I worked directly into IBM and doing all kinds of control work, that kind of electrical kind of stuff. And then after I left there, I went to Cornell University for 18 years, and I was a director of facilities for over 300 and some facilities.
So you have a really good background on making things stay right.
Well, I tried to.
Well, I'm sure
been doing it for a long time.
The university's been wanting you to do that.
Yeah.
How long have you been here in Sun City Center, and what part of the city do you live in?
We bought in September of 2020, right around the COVID time. We are on the south side of 674, around the Verona area.
So you're on the south side?
South side.
All right. By the way, we don't choose up sides here, right?
Okay. I wasn't sure.
No, it's important to, and you did purchase your home, did you say?
Yes, we did purchase, and I am a full-time resident here at Sun City. So I
So
reside here.
one of the questions I've asked each person, because the work here doesn't stop in the summer, it goes on. Some of our residents leave, some don't. Is there a time period that you would be gone more than 30 days in the year?
Probably not. The only time we would ever leave is maybe go up for a few weeks or maybe a month, depending on how. Like, I know my daughter's going to get married here next year, so my wife's definitely going to want to be part of that. So you know, that's going to work out for me. But I've been a appointed position on the board, and I went up north for a small period of time, and we Zoomed all the meetings. So I was still involved in everything, even though, excuse me, even though I was up in upstate New York. So
Zoom has been a real good thing for a whole lot of people.
it really has.
What do you consider your strongest points for your business experience or volunteer experience?
Well, working in the electric union and understanding the infrastructure of buildings helped me a ton in my earlier years. But then when I went to Cornell University, being the director of all the facilities and making decisions and understanding the needs and then also looking at the deficiencies of facilities, that was a big piece where we looked at things. What do we need to do to improve it, or what's coming that we need to save money for so we can keep the building up to its highest standard?
Preventative maintenance,
Pretty much, yes.
being sure that it's taken care of. What decisions of the current board do you particularly like?
Great question. I kind of like, I've been involved in I've been on the committee, the long range planning committee, for at least a year, and reaching out to all the people in the community through focus groups, through surveys, and then just hearing what other people's needs are, and then trying to develop a master plan of trying to understand what we can do to beautification our facility, to bring in the new and greater people, because sooner or later we're going to have a turnaround and we need to bring the young people here. So I think that is one of the big things that I really like about the board, being part of that.
As one of the people running the ship, what do you see the vision for Sun City Center either staying as or becoming?
I think to continue to reach out to the community for their opinion is very important. And I really believe that we need to continue to beautification this area, to bring in the new people so they can look at this and say, wow, this is really nice. And I think we need to chisel down, and what we have done is we have the top 10 from the long range planning committee, and we have chiseled a few of them. We're in the process of doing stuff at the pickleball. We're working on the medians. We're starting to do some more plannings throughout the area. And then understanding what we need to do with our facilities. Do we put in a resort pool, or do we repair what we have? So there's a lot of little things that we're working very diligently to try to make this place a beautiful place so everybody wants to come into Sun City to live.
We've tried some experiments, like trying to make the Florida Friendly thing up front of the association look great on that North Pebble Beach. but it didn't work.
But
So
it does look nice.
now it does, they put some beauty, and I hated it when I got up that morning after the heavy winds
Yeah,
and
geez.
saw all those things laying under the side.
All that water and
I'm
washed
sure
out.
everybody felt the same way. We've always been a pay-as-you-go community. There are communities here that are as much as $60 million in debt. We carry no debt. How do you feel about debt and then making things different or building new things or anything of that nature to go into debt?
So being on the committee and being part of the board, I understand that we have about $5.5 million in funds by the end of 2020, or 2022. And with knowing what the top 10 wants from our community, I think we can start utilizing some of them funds into, beautify and build or do things that the community wants. And I do believe that we do not want to be in debt, because if you look at other communities and see how bad and how big their debts are, that was one of the big things that, for me, not wanting to go somewhere else and stay here, because we have hundreds of different clubs here and the cost is minimal, and I think that's what will attract people coming forward.
Now, you asked me at the beginning to give you some time to talk about outside employment.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's do that. We've got about a minute and a half.
Okay. I wrote a couple things down, so excuse me. When I retired and moved here, my wife Kendra wanted to continue to work, and she works remotely at our home. My plan was to play more golf, which to me, that's a win-win. She works, I play. Except when I went to play golf, I was always playing by myself. I didn't know people. We were new to the community. COVID was going on. It was hard to. And then I talked to the head pro at the Renaissance, Lisa, and she says, well, get involved in a fixture group. Well, how do I get involved in a fixture group? I don't know what fixture groups I would want to play with. And then she says, well, I'll look around for you, this and that. And then I had somebody come to me and say, why don't you become a ranger? Because if you become a ranger on the course, you're going to meet all kinds of people. And I gave that a lot of thought. I went back in and talked to Lisa, and I got hired there as a ranger for 2 days a week, which was nice because it got me out of the house while my wife was still working. And she's continued to work. I know there's a little bit of talk out there saying, hey, I work for Club Links, and geez, there's the development. I live in Verona. My backyard's a golf course. I moved here because I wanted that as my backyard. I don't want development. I don't think this community really wants all that development. And so I'm all for not developing in our area. So I just want to make that clear.
Not a manager.
Being Club Links does not, as a ranger, I have no authority to make any decisions. And I got to be honest with you, I would like to continue. It depends on this position, but there is so many people out there, so many friends that I have made. It's just hard for me to leave and not say, because a lot of times you say, hey, how you doing, and that's a nice thing, and it's warming. So
Jeff, we run out of time.
Okay.
Jeff Parsons, thank you for coming in
All
with
right.
us. We appreciate it.
Thank
If it
you.
wasn't for people coming in and being part of the leadership, we'd have an awful time here at Sun City Center. But we have a lot of good people. You've seen 8 of them, and there were more to start with, but some decided that they wouldn't go. But I hope you'll enjoy the video, and we'll catch you next time.